What if the most powerful thing you could say today was nothing at all? What if silence could change your relationships, your confidence, and even your future? We live in a world that celebrates fast talkers and quick replies. But sometimes wisdom is not in the voice that speaks first, it's in the one that waits. Silence isn't weakness. It's awareness, strength, and self-respect. It's in the pause before you react. It's in the space between two people that says, "I'm listening." In this story, you will explore the power of silence, not just as an idea, but as a skill. A skill you can learn, practice, and master every day. You'll hear how silence can calm conflict, build trust, and reveal deep insight. You'll discover how the quiet moments can lead to your strongest growth. Whether you want to speak more clearly, improve your relationships, or simply find peace in a noisy world, this story is for you. It's for anyone who has ever felt lost in the noise and wondered if quiet had value. Because silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of something deeper. So take a breath and listen carefully. Have you ever noticed how loud the world has become? It's almost like silence has gone missing. Everywhere you go, there's sound: cars, conversations, phones buzzing, music playing. Even in your own mind, thoughts are running fast and loud. We live in a time where people feel the need to respond immediately. If there's a pause, even for a second, someone rushes to fill it. Social media trains us to react quickly. The internet wants us to speak fast, type fast, and post faster. The louder a message is, the more attention it seems to get. But not all attention is meaningful. Sometimes the loudest voices are just the most desperate. And the quietest people are the ones who are actually thinking. We confuse volume with value. But just because someone speaks a lot doesn't mean they have something important to say. And just because someone is quiet doesn't mean they have nothing to say. Sometimes silence is the wisest response of all, but silence makes people uncomfortable. It feels awkward, like something must be wrong if no one is talking. So we talk even when we have nothing to say. We comment, we argue, we interrupt because silence feels too empty. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're so used to noise that we've forgotten how to hear anything deeper. When every moment is filled with distraction, we stop paying attention to what really matters. We hear voices, but not meaning. We scroll past words without really thinking about them. We listen to people speak, but we don't hear their heart. In this constant flood of opinions and reactions, we lose something powerful. We lose reflection, we lose patience, and we lose the quiet voice inside us that often knows what to do. There's a story about a man who walked into a busy cafe. People were laughing, talking loudly, music was playing, plates were clattering. He sat down, looked around, and then pulled out a book. He didn't look at his phone, he didn't speak, he just read quietly. And in that moment, people noticed him more than anyone else, not because he was loud, but because he was still. There's something magnetic about silence in a world full of noise. It makes people curious. Why is he not speaking? What is she thinking? Silence has presence, silence has weight. And yet it's the one thing most people avoid. Because silence reveals things, it reveals fear, it reveals doubt, it also reveals truth. It shows us what we're really feeling underneath all the noise. In today's world, we often speak just to fill the air. We don't ask, "Do I need to say this?" We ask, "What can I say next?" We rush to respond before we understand. We argue before we listen. But what if we didn't? What if we waited? What if we allowed a little space before we filled it with words? What might we discover in that pause? Silence isn't weakness. Silence is a decision. It's choosing not to react instantly. It's choosing to think. It's not just about being quiet. It's about being present. And in a world that won't stop shouting, your silence can speak louder than anything you say. Silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of control. We often believe that strong people speak boldly and act quickly, but true strength is often quiet. It shows itself in the pause between emotion and reaction. It lives in the space between what happens and how you respond. Imagine this: a young man is sitting in a meeting at work. A colleague suddenly criticizes him in front of everyone. The words are harsh and unfair. Everyone in the room goes quiet, waiting for his reaction. His face tightens, his hands grip the edge of the table. He wants to shout back, to defend himself, to say something sharp. But he doesn't. He takes a breath and remains silent. Not because he's weak, but because he's wise. Later, someone asks him, "Why didn't you say anything?" He smiles and says, because I didn't want to say something I would regret. That is self-control. That is the power of silence. When you are silent in moments of anger or pressure, you create space. You stop yourself from becoming part of the chaos. Words spoken in anger can do damage that lasts much longer than the moment. Silence, on the other hand, holds the emotion safely until it passes. It gives your mind time to catch up with your feelings. It allows wisdom to take the lead instead of pride. This doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose the right time, the right tone, and the right words. Sometimes silence is the best answer to a loud insult, because not everything deserves your energy. There is a phrase that says, "You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to." Silence is how you decline that invitation with grace. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about your peace more than proving a point. In silence, you decide what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to be someone who reacts, or someone who responds with thought? Self-control is like a muscle. The more you practice silence, the stronger it becomes. It starts in small moments, when someone interrupts you and you don't rush to interrupt them back. When someone makes a rude comment and you don't take the bait. When you're upset but you choose to wait before replying. Each time you choose silence over a quick reaction, you grow. You gain power over your own emotions. And that is a kind of power no one can take from you. It is quiet, but it is unshakable. In silence, you learn patience. In silence, you grow wisdom. You may not win the argument, but you win something more important, your self-respect. There's a quiet confidence in those who don't need to speak to feel strong. People notice it even if they can't explain why. It's the calm in the storm, the stillness in the noise. So the next time you feel anger rising or pressure building, try something simple. Be still. Be quiet. Let silence do what words cannot. Let it protect you from saying something that would hurt others or yourself. Because sometimes the best way to be heard is to say nothing at all. Most people don't really listen. They wait for their turn to speak. In everyday conversation, you can see it. One person is talking and the other is already preparing their reply. Their eyes shift. Their body leans forward. They aren't fully present. They hear the words, but they're not truly listening. They're just waiting to talk. But real listening is an act of silence. It means stopping your thoughts and giving your full attention to someone else. This kind of silence builds trust. It tells the other person, "I see you, I hear you." We often think speaking shows confidence. But sometimes listening is even braver. Because when you listen, you're not controlling the moment. You're giving space to someone else. You let them be honest, even if it's uncomfortable. You let them finish, even if you disagree. That's not weakness, that's strength. Imagine a friend sits next to you and says, "I don't know what to do anymore. Everything feels like it's falling apart." Most people would quickly reply with advice. They might say, "It's going to be fine," or "Here's what I would do." But the truth is, your friend doesn't always want a solution. Sometimes they just need someone to be there, to sit in silence, to nod, to say, "I understand," and nothing more. There's a power in being fully present, in giving someone your ears without your opinions. Because when people feel heard, they feel safe. They open up more, they speak with more honesty. And sometimes in that space, they find their own answers. A woman once said, "The person who helped me most didn't say much. They just stayed with me in the silence, and that meant everything." That's the kind of silence we often forget. The silence that listens, the silence that heals. In work meetings, in families, in friendships, those who listen are often the most respected. Because they speak only when they've truly understood. When you listen before you speak, your words become more thoughtful. Your responses come from clarity, not habit. You stop reacting and start connecting. You stop guessing and start understanding. And people notice. They see that you don't interrupt. They feel that you care about what they say. It doesn't mean you agree with everyone. It means you're strong enough to let others speak without fear. Listening makes your silence valuable. It shows that when you do choose to speak, your words will matter. It's not easy. We live in a world where everyone wants to talk and no one wants to pause, but those who listen stand out. Their silence speaks volumes. So the next time someone is speaking to you, try something simple. Don't plan your reply, just listen. Let your silence say, "I'm here. I'm with you." Because in the end, the best conversations are not always about who spoke. They're about who listened. Arguments are a part of life, but the way we handle them shapes who we become. Most people think they need to speak louder in conflict. They believe raising their voice means raising their power. But sometimes silence is stronger than any argument. It doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've chosen control. Imagine two friends close for years suddenly in a fight. One accuses the other of not caring. Voices rise. Emotions burn, but one of them stops. She doesn't yell back. She simply listens, takes a breath, and stays quiet. That silence changes everything. It creates a space the other person wasn't expecting. In that space, the anger softens. The heat cools. The person shouting suddenly feels heard, not attacked. And sometimes that's all it takes to stop a friendship from breaking. Not a strong reply, but a silent one. Silence is powerful in conflict because it shows maturity. It shows that you value the relationship more than winning the fight. It's easy to say the first thing that comes to mind. It's harder to wait and say what really needs to be said. In silence, you protect your words. You protect the other person too. Because once a harsh word is spoken, you can't take it back. But if you stay silent for just a moment, you might avoid saying something you'll regret. Many people fear silence during arguments. They feel it means weakness or surrender, but silence is not the same as silence forever. It's just a pause, a chance to choose a better path. Even in professional settings, silence can calm the room. When one person refuses to join the shouting, tension drops. You show you're not here to fight. You're here to understand. You can still speak your truth, but silence gives your truth more weight. Think of silence like a shield. It protects you from the chaos. It gives you time to think clearly. In a world where people rush to be right, silence allows you to be wise. It's not about keeping quiet forever. It's about knowing when quiet is more powerful than noise. A wise man once said, "Speak only if it improves the silence." That advice is especially true in conflict. Before you respond in anger, ask yourself, will these words help or hurt? If you're not sure, stay silent a little longer. Silence can say, "I'm listening." It can say, "I'm not here to attack." It can also say, "I respect you enough to think before I speak." And that kind of silence is never wasted. Conflict is not won by shouting the most. It's resolved by understanding the most. Silence creates that space for understanding, and in that space, real connection can return. So the next time you're in a fight or feel the heat rising, remember this. You don't have to match the other person's volume. You don't have to speak just to defend your pride. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause. Let the silence hold you. Let it carry your strength. Because when used with care, silence doesn't divide people. It brings them back together. Silence isn't just a pause in conversation. It's also where new ideas begin. When we are surrounded by noise, it's hard to hear our own thoughts. Our minds are always reacting, always distracted. But in silence, something different happens. Our thinking changes from reacting to reflecting. That's where insight lives, not in chaos, but in calm. Think about it. Have you ever had a great idea while taking a walk alone? Or found a solution to a problem after sitting in silence for a few minutes? That's not a coincidence. The brain needs space to create. It needs quiet to make sense of everything it has gathered. When you remove distractions, your mind starts to connect pieces in a new way. It finds answers that noise was hiding. There's a story about a writer who was stuck for months. Every day she sat in front of her computer hoping the words would come. But the more she tried to force the ideas, the more blocked she felt. Finally, she stopped trying. She put away the laptop, left her phone at home, and went for silent walks in the park each day. No podcasts, no music, just silence, just space. And after a few days, something shifted. One morning on her walk, the story came to her not in words, but in images. She rushed home and wrote more than she had in months, all because she gave her mind the silence it was craving. This isn't just about artists or writers. Everyone needs quiet moments. Silence helps you make better decisions. It helps you hear your intuition. It helps you know what you really think, not what the world is shouting at you. Because when you slow down, you start to see clearly. You notice what matters, you remember what you care about. Many successful people schedule time for silence. Some meditate, some walk, some just sit with their thoughts. They know that silence isn't wasted time, it's productive in a different way. It doesn't look busy on the outside. But inside, deep thinking is happening. Even great inventions and discoveries began in silence. A quiet moment, a deep question. If we want to be more creative, more focused, and more wise, we must practice stillness. We must make room for silence. Try turning off your phone for 10 minutes and sitting alone. It may feel strange at first, but soon you'll notice thoughts rising that were hidden under the noise. You may remember something important, or realize something new. In silence, you reconnect with yourself. And from that place, your best ideas are born. You don't need music playing all the time. You don't need to fill every moment with sound. Let silence be part of your routine. Let it be your secret tool. Because while noise gets attention, silence brings understanding. And understanding is the first step toward insight. Silence is not just for deep thinking or big moments. It's a skill you can use every single day. You don't need to go to the mountains or sit in meditation for hours. You can bring silence into your life in small, simple ways. And those small moments can change everything. They can make you calmer, clearer, and more connected. Start by pausing before you speak. Just 2 seconds of silence can help you respond more wisely. Instead of jumping in, wait. Let the words come from thought, not reaction. That silence gives you power. It gives your words more meaning. You don't have to fill every space with conversation. Let silence sit between sentences. In the car, turn off the radio sometimes. Let your mind rest. At home, eat one meal without your phone or TV. Just eat. Just breathe. Take a short walk without music or a podcast. Notice the sounds around you. Let silence walk with you. If you work with others, practice silent listening. Let people speak without rushing to reply. You'll hear more, you'll understand more. Silence can be awkward at first. We're used to noise, we're used to distraction. But once you get comfortable with silence, you'll begin to prefer it. It becomes a quiet friend. It makes room for peace. It makes space for real connection. In conversations, people start to feel safer with you. They feel your attention. They feel your presence. You're not speaking just to speak. You're choosing your words, and when you do speak, people listen more closely, because your words come from stillness, not from stress. Try this. When you feel overwhelmed, don't reach for your phone, don't talk, just be quiet, close your eyes for a minute. Breathe. Let silence reset your mind. You'll notice your thoughts slowing down. You'll notice your feelings softening. Silence doesn't solve every problem, but it gives you space to see the problem clearly. And sometimes, clarity is all you need. Once you see clearly, you can act wisely. You don't need to change your whole life. Just add silence to it. Use it like a tool. Use it like a habit. Before you speak, before you judge, before you reply, pause, breathe, let silence lead. It's easy to join the noise. It's harder to stay quiet and listen to what really matters. But the more you practice, the stronger it becomes. Silence becomes your superpower, not because it hides who you are, but because it reveals your strength. So start today. In one small moment, choose silence, and watch how everything around you begins to change. Silence is not just something you practice in quiet rooms. It's something you carry with you into loud places. It's not a sign of fear. It's a sign of wisdom, discipline, and clarity. In a world that speaks without thinking, you now have a different option. You can pause, you can breathe, you can wait. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to respond quickly to be respected. Because the one who controls their silence controls their words, and the one who controls their words controls their life. Today, let silence walk with you for a moment longer. Try saying less and listening more. Try observing before reacting. Try allowing space in conversations where pressure once lived. And remember, silence is not empty, it's full of possibility. Thank you for watching this story. Let it sit with you a little while longer before the world rushes back in. And maybe next time you're about to speak, you'll remember the quiet voice that says, "Not yet."